Everybody has a favourite Final Fantasy game. More modern players love Final Fantasy 15 for the real-time combat. Most old school players treat Final Fantasy 7 as the pinnacle of their gaming memories. And then there's those that say Final Fantasy 9 is objectively the best one. For me though, that honour has to go to Final Fantasy 10. But why? Well, join me as we explore why was Final Fantasy X such a big deal. Let's get the obvious things out of the way first. Dropping back in 2001 when I was just a boy, Final Fantasy X was the first game in the series to feature fully fledged voice acting. As inconsistent, shall we say, it is, this is still a huge development for the franchise. Then, there's the pre-rendered backgrounds being booted to the side in favour of actual 3D environments to walk around in. Then, we even have the beautiful cinematics as well. So, from a technical standpoint, yeah, this game broke down barriers and shuttled the series into a new realm. But I didn't play this game back in the olden days, I played this game in 2020 and 2019, where all of the aforementioned features have been staples for over a decade. So why was this game so special to me? Well, I can't whittle that down to just one thing, so I'm going to tell you about all of the things, so strap in and get ready. Straight out of the gate, love. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? If implemented incorrectly in media, it can come across as cringy. In Final Fantasy X, it could very well come across that way to you. A game such as this one chooses to revolve around a specific theme, and implement everything else around this theme. Therefore, it's important that you get the relationship between Yuna and Tidus. Tidus? I have no idea. I apologise, please don't kill me. If their relationship doesn't hit home for you, you probably won't enjoy this game too much. But it hit home for me. I won't give you a summary of the game because you've undoubtedly played it, but it reaches its climax in the underwater kiss scene. Tidus, only recently found out that Yuna will have to die once they complete their pilgrimage. They talk about how they don't want to do that, obviously, it would be preferable if they could both live, how they want to go to Tidus' Zanarkand and just explore the city and live a normal life, before coming to accept that this just simply isn't a possibility. Then, they kiss, and all of that pent-up frustration, affection, and love is released in a brief moment of tranquility, where they can just enjoy being with each other, even for a short moment. There's also the ending, which is pretty goddamn awesome. Defeating Sin and breaking the rules so that Yuna doesn't have to sacrifice herself, though sadly Tidus does, slowly being drip-fed more information about the truth behind the whole pilgrimage and Yevon and everything helped with the pacing, even though it didn't make much narrative sense considering Auron should know all of this anyway, considering he's done the pilgrimage with Braska and Jack before, and either forgets or chooses not to tell anybody, which would be a bit of a dick move. Auron himself though was my favourite character. He's mysterious and serious, always has his number one priority being getting the job done. But when we get to Zanarkand, we see a much more emotional Auron, as we see glimpses into his final moments with Jack and Braska, where he promises the former that he'll watch over Tidus for him. That's all I can give about the story, so how about the gameplay? I absolutely love the combat system with the substitute mechanic. Being able to swap characters on the fly allowed for more strategic planning on how to take down your enemies, especially when you factor in how you can manipulate the turn order to your favour. Every party member works best against certain enemies. Wakka is imperative for flying enemies, Lulu for elemental damage, etc, etc. Then we have the summons, which are awesome and save my ass countless times, especially in the final boss. I would summon my Aeons to take the hit from Jet's overdrive so that I could live to fight another turn. Speaking of which, the bosses are incredible. They really tested me and pushed me to my limit, especially the final boss. Holy shit, I may not have been able to do it without the help of the lovely people over on the Final Fantasy X subreddit, so shout out to all those lovely people. There are a lot of bosses, but instead of just having stupidly large health pools and stupidly large damage, they transmit their difficulty by making you think. They're essentially puzzles, and I hate puzzles, but I love these, with you having to find out the correct strategy in order to take them down. You'd be surprised how trivial some bosses can become once you figure out the solution. Lady Yunalesca was that boss for me. I couldn't beat her, until I realised that you aren't supposed to waste turns curing the zombie status. Just stay on the offensive and you'll obliterate her. She doesn't do any damage basically. This isn't just the bosses either. You have to learn what every enemy can do, and you better learn quick. A battle can be going perfectly fine until they pop out an insta-kill move and it's game over, or because you missed the sign or simply didn't know the moveset. Yes, I'm once again looking at you, Lady Unaleska. This doesn't mean the game is without its faults though. Unskippable cutscenes are a chore, especially, again, Lady Unaleska. 5 to 10 minute cutscene before the fight, then the fight against Jekt, where you have to do that stupid crystal minigame before the fight each time. Yeah, it's an old game, and that's why, so I won't hold it against it. But you'd think they'd have added a skip button in the remastered version at least. There's also how, in my opinion, the encounters are a little bit too frequent. I know, it's a completely personal gripe, and you need to grind anyway to get strong enough to defeat the bosses, so it's not that big of an issue, don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to explore every nook and cranny of the desert without my healer when you spawn in a bird with 18,000 health every 5 seconds. That's pretty much all I didn't like about the game. I didn't like the final boss against the Aeons. This fight, more so than any other, is the pinnacle of the puzzle aspect of the game. It's literally impossible if you don't have one of Zombie Strike, Reflect, Doom, or a couple others. If you didn't have one of those or the few other things, you literally cannot beat this boss. And there's no save point between the Jekt fight and this, so you'd have to do that fight again. Though I suppose the trade-off is that you literally can't fail because you have auto life, unless for some reason you choose to put zombie on yourself, in which case you would lose. Final Fantasy X is special for many reasons. There's a technical aspect which was fantastical for the time, there's the contrast between love and death which clash against each other throughout the duration of this epic journey. It also has a battle system that entrapped me at strategic design elements, and had me obsessing over how to manipulate the turn order to my advantage. The spells such as Hestega and Sloga becoming a necessity in the later portions and tougher fights. Final Fantasy X as a whole provides a package that had me enjoying it to a larger degree than any other Final Fantasy ever has done, and joining Tidus Tudus on this voyage was a joy that I am immensely glad I embarked upon, and that is why Final Fantasy X was a big deal. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, then please consider leaving a like, as it would be greatly appreciated, and if you want to see more content from me, then make sure to subscribe, as I upload videos just like this one every single Friday. Have a nice day, and goodbye.